Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to try and crack the code of a child's mind. We'll take some pretty complex psychology and turn it into simple, powerful games you can use, like right away.
You know, what's really going on inside a young child's mind? It can feel like a total mystery, right? Just this whirlwind of energy and what seems like totally random thoughts. But what if you had the keys to unlock how they think? Because understanding how they learn, well, that's the first big step to helping them really thrive.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at how kids learn. Then we'll dive into some fun games for their brain and body. We'll touch on social emotions, and then wrap it all up with what is probably the single most important piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the three big principles of learning. If we really want to get what's happening inside a child's head, we've got to look at these three foundational theories. You can think of them like master keys. They unlock their entire world.
So first up, we have something called cognitivism. The easiest way to think about this is that the brain is like a biological supercomputer. It's not just a sponge soaking things up. No, it's actively receiving information, organizing it, storing it, and then pulling it back out when it needs to, just like a really sophisticated computer program. And here's how that breaks down. It's actually pretty simple. Step one, receive. A child sees the letter A and hears you say the sound. Information comes in. Step two, organize. Their brain files it away with all the other letters it knows. Step three, store. It's saved to memory. And then step four, retrieve. Later, they see an apple, and boom, their brain pulls out that A sound. It's simple, right? But so powerful. And this is happening all the time, constantly. All right, next up is behaviorism. This one is all about the environment. The idea here is that we learn from cause and effect. A perfect example is the school bell. The sound of a bell. It doesn't mean anything on its own, right? But a child very quickly learns to associate that sound with playtime. So that external cue, the bell, directly shapes their behavior, their excitement. And our third and final key is constructivism. Okay, this is where it gets really cool, in my opinion. This theory says that children are not just empty buckets waiting for us to pour knowledge into them. Not at all. They are active builders. They are literally constructing their own understanding, their own models of how the world works. Okay, so this slide shows two core concepts of this idea perfectly. Let's say a child knows what a horse is. They see a zebra for the first time. And what do? They call it a horse. That's assimilation. They're fitting this new thing into a box they already have. But then you say, well, it's kind of like a horse, but it has stripes, so it's a zebra. Now they have to accommodate. They have to change their understanding or maybe even build a brand new zebra box in their mind. That right there, that's learning in action. So what does this all mean? Well, it leads to this really crucial insight. You know that constant chattering you hear from a young child? It's not just them making noise. They are literally thinking out loud. For them, there's no difference yet between their internal thoughts and the words coming out of their mouth. It's the same process. Okay, theory time is over. Let's put this stuff into practice. We're heading over to what I like to call the cognitive playground. We're going to look at some super simple games that are actually powerful workouts for the brain. Things that boost memory, logic, all the good stuff. So remember cognitivism, that whole idea of receiving, storing, and retrieving information? Well, a fantastic way to strengthen that whole cycle is the classic memory game. You can just draw a simple grid with some shapes, let the kids look at it for a moment, and then have them try to draw it from memory. It seems so simple, but it's an incredible tool. They're literally practicing that entire cognitive cycle we just talked about. And get this kind of visual recall is actually linked to improving writing speed later on. Why? Because the better they can hold an image of a word in their mind, the faster they can get it down on paper. How cool is that? And then, of course, there's pretend play. This is pure constructivism. I mean, when a child decides they're a shopkeeper or a doctor, they're not just messing around. They are actively building, constructing their understanding of social roles, of rules, of how to solve problems creatively. It's a full-on simulation of the world. All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about physical development, because it's not separate from brain development. It's totally connected. This isn't just about kids needing to, get the wiggles out. It's about building these super important highways between the brain and the body. Here's a super simple one that's also super powerful. Animal walks.
Just challenge a kid to move like a frog, or a bear, or waddle like a duck. Yeah, it looks silly, but trust me, something incredible is happening inside their brain when they do this.
See, it's not just fun and games. It's a major exercise in brain-body coordination. Every time they try to move like a different animal, it forces their brain to send brand new, really specific signals down to their muscles. And that strengthens those neural pathways. It's literally building physical control from the brain down.
Okay, here's another great one. We can take a classic game that everybody knows, hopscotch, and give it a little twist to make it a serious challenge for both the body and the brain. So instead of just numbers, you draw a path with different instructions. A straight line means walk, a single dot, hop on one foot, two dots, jump with both feet. A zigzag line means you follow the pattern. See what's happening? The child can't just zone out and go on autopilot. They have to constantly look, process the next symbol, and send the right command to their body. This is amazing for developing focus and coordination because it forces them to adapt on the fly. All right, finally, let's talk about something incredibly important: social and emotional intelligence. This is all about how a child learns to understand themselves and, navigate the super complex world of interacting with other people.
And for this, we're going to bring out an old classic you probably already know. That's right, Simon Says. It seems like just a simple game, but it is an absolute powerhouse for teaching two crucial skills: impulse control and listening carefully. Think about it. The kids have to wait for those magic words, Simon Says. That simple act of pausing and processing before they act, that's building the mental muscle for self-control. It teaches them the huge difference between just hearing a command and actually listening to it. And that skill, it's absolutely vital for school, for friendships, for everything. So, okay, we've looked at the theories, we've looked at some games. What's the big takeaway here? What's the one thing you should remember from all this? It's this, and it's so important. These are not just games. Play is the serious, essential work of childhood. It's not a break from learning. Play is learning. It's how their brains are literally built. It's how all those connections are made. It's how they master really complex skills in the most natural way there is. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you see a child playing, what are you going to see? Will you just see a game? Or will you see a brain under construction? A mind that's hard at work, building itself, one leap, one block, and one story at a time. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.